Here we are recording.
Good day, everyone. I would like to call the meeting of the Guam Hybrid Land Use Commission to order for today, Thursday, October 27th, 2022. The time is now 1:35 p.m. I would like to take attendance at this time to see if we have a quorum, beginning with Mayor Allen and President. Mayor June Wilker, President. Vice Mayor Peter Benedetti Jr.
President.
And Mayor Jesse Gopi. Not present. Vice Chairman Art Chan.
President.
Thank you. Commissioner Leilani Flores. And I am Anita Enriquez, the chairperson for the Guam Hybrid Land Use Commission. We have a quorum, so we will proceed. The next item on the agenda is item 2, approval of minutes of the Guam Hybrid Land Use Commission special meeting minutes of June 17, 2022, as well as the Guam Hybrid Land Use Commission regular meeting minutes of June 23, 2022. So before the commission today is the approval of both minutes. Commissioners have been mailed the drafts of the minutes. I am now ready to entertain a motion for action. For the meeting minutes of June 17, 2022.
And the GHLUC regular meeting minutes of June 23rd, 2022.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Flores. A motion has been made of the board for both June 17, 2022, as well as June 23, 2022 minutes. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion. Both the minutes of the meetings for the land use commission for
Thank you very much. Are there any errors or omissions? Any discussion? If they're being done, both minutes carry and have been approved. Thank you very much. I will also like to acknowledge and recognize our legal counsel for the commission, Mr. Nick. Thank you very much for being here. The next item is 3 old or unfinished business. There are none to entertain, so we shall proceed with the next item on the agenda, item 4, new business. Before us today, we have zone variance applications number 2021-32, as well as application number 2022-23. I shall read each application. For 2021-32, the applicant, University of Guam, represented by TRMA, is requesting for a zone variance for use to allow for the construction and operation of a 3-story educational research facility called WERI in a residential zone on lot 5376 NDW-3 in the Municipality of Mangilao, in an R1 single-family dwelling zone. The case planner for this is Mr. Frank Titano, as well as Sunny Gogui. I shall read the second one as well. Application number 2022-33. The applicant, University of Guam, represented by TRMA, is requesting for a zone variance for height for an additional 6 feet from the required maximum height of 30 feet for the proposed construction of the Water and Environmental Research Institute WERI building on lot 5376 NEW-3 in the Municipality of Mangilao in an R1 single-family dwelling zone. Case planner, Frank Piper / Sunny Gogui. I do have a conflict of interest in both applications. They are my employers, so I will now turn the rest of the meeting over to our Vice Chairman, Mr. Art Chan, to take over the meeting, and I do. Yes, let me acknowledge the Honorable Mayor of Chalampago, Mr. Jesse Gopi. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes. So, Vice Chairman, I'm going to have you come over to my seat. I'm going to exit and walk.
Hi, good afternoon. Since I'm chairperson, there's a lot of items. Including that, with the UOP, I'll have to take over the meeting from this point on. Both applications in the agenda for the hybrid land use commission have the same applicant and project. The commissioners have no objection. We will hear both presentations simultaneously. Do I have any comments or anything? It's accepted.
Yeah.
I will now turn the planner over to Chief Planner Basement or the base planner to read the staff report. Celine?
Is zone variance for use and 2022-33 is zone variance for height on lot 5376 3 in the municipality of Tamuning. The applicant, University of Guam, is represented by 10 Group of Bureau Architects, is requesting approval of the zone variance for the use and height for the development of a 3-story, 36 feet high education research facility on lot 5376 3 in the municipality of Mangilao in R1 single family dwelling zone. The legal authority is Title 21, Guam Code Annotated Chapter 61, Sections 616.6 to 6.624. The subject lot is the New Use campus and across from the Humanities and Social Science building and the Tan Van Tech in English and Communications building along University Drive Road. The lot area is 89,256 square meters or 22.06 acres. The present zoning is R1 zone. The lot presently occupies the College of Natural and Applied Sciences building and the Dean's Circle. The portion of the lot for the proposed development has been cleared and is relatively flat green space. The master plan has this area designated as residential for the north and central Guam land use plan, and the community design plan has this area designated for public safety and the comprehensive development plan. Region Commission action. There was a zone variance for height approved with conditions on November 2012 for a 7-feet high wind turbine in view to center of island system facility and a zone variance for the construction of an energy windmill that was approved in July 1982 and amended in February 1984. The chronological facts. Application 2021-32 was accepted on December 1st, 2021. And application number 2022-33 was accepted on April 29th, 2022. The applications were heard by the ARC on December 16th, 2021 and May 19th, 2022, respectively. And a dual public hearing was held on August 9th, 2021. This session is happening. As proposed in the following justification provided by the applicant, the zone variance request is for the construction of an educational research facility known as the Water and Environmental Research Institute, or WERI. Pursuant to section 617, variance requirements of chapter 61, 21 variances may be granted by the committee, provided the applicant can justify practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purpose and intent of the law, that there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property or the intended use that do not apply generally to other properties in the same zone, that the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the neighborhood, that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of any part of the law master plan, and that the proposed building will substantially enhance the recreational aesthetic or commercial value of the each area upon which the building is to be constructed, and that such building will not interfere with or adversely affect the surrounding property owners or the public's right to untrammeled use of the beach and its natural beauty.
Mr. Chair, if I may interrupt. Given the fact that this information was provided to the commissioners. Was well advanced for us to review. I want to make a motion to accept items A through E on the responses to the application and just allow the planner to go to the recommendation of the planner if I can just for explanation. To the kids thinking about it rather than have a read, verbatim what we've already read.
That I vote, okay. It's been recommended by the members that we do away with the reading of the rest of the.
And then move right to the recommendation.
And you on the recommendation. Do I hear any comment? Can we do that?
I think that in our assessment of the responses provided by the applicant, we find that the applicant has provided adequate justification in reference to the requested variance for use and in addition, the applicant has prepared mitigation plans to address concerns raised by the public hearing regarding low water pressure. Furthermore, the submitted ARC position statements are with no objection and that as a result of the Mangilao Municipal Planning Council meetings on August 24 and October 10th, Resolution 2022-03 in support of the zone variance was adopted by the Mangilao Municipal Planning Council on October 10, 2022. Therefore, we concluded that this request will be proper form and context to be considered favorably by the Guam administration. And finally, our recommendation for application number 2021-32 and application number 2022-33 is a recommendation of approval with conditions as follows. That the applicant shall adhere to all the ARC conditions and requirements as stipulated in the official conditions. And including an attachment to the staff reports, we would like to know the ARC members, the memo to the PWC members. We have public hearing minutes for the public hearing held on August 9, 2022. And then we have the meeting on the municipal planning council resolution of 2022 attached.
Well, members, you heard the reading of the planners recommendation. Do I hear any questions for the staff? No. Okay, if there are no questions, I'd like to also okay, now I think at this time I'd like to end that with our members of the agri as well as the members of the commission. We turn this over to the then go to the floor. No, turn the floor over to the public for any comments.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Representative for the sorry. And before you start, can you please state your names and thank for the record?
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Young-Guerrero. I'm representing for Tenant Geo Architects. With me today is Fred Weiss. He's the actual architect that's designing the building, and then we have emphatic support with the GHLUC. So I'll be going through the project of what we plan on building. So WERI is actually an institute within UOG that's been around for ever since the 70s. And originally it was meant to be its own actual program. It's the Water and Environmental Research Institute. And what they do is they help PWA with testing water, and they also help testing soil. And they do various activities that actually helps to benefit this island. And when they were placing the program, they didn't really have a place to put it within the campus, so they kind of combined it with the Marine Lab. I mean, Marine Lab was like the best facility that they had at the time, but it wasn't really geared towards their needs as a facility. So now that UND has funding to actually make it its own separate entity, they plan on building a new building for it that specifically gears towards the research facilities for WERI. And I just want to make it important to note that I know a lot of people know that WERI building is, or the WERI is located within the Marine Lab. We're not putting it in that hill area. We're actually going to bring it back up closer to the university. So if you actually look at this site plan, when you enter the university, you have the science building, the English and Humanities building, and then you have the fine arts theater. So this is the main circle that you get go around, and to the right, you're planning on placing the WERI facility. But actually, for more context, we have the repository that just opened up recently. So it's going to be placed at the entrance of the university, and we're not placing it at the bottom of the hill where it originally was at. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand where we're placing the building. And we're not near any or there's condominiums here, but we're not really placed near a lot of residential, and we're actually placed closer to the university. Actually, here's a better example of aerial. So one of the concerns when we're doing public hearing is that if we're going to affect water down at the bottom of the hill, but we're actually not placing the facilities down at the bottom of the hill. Also, the university made mention that if there is a demand for the water, that they would be using their water tanks that they have placed around here. So there's no expected detriment to the water down at the bottom of the hill, but also it's a completely separate line. So residents at the bottom of the hill that did actually show up to the public hearing, they shouldn't be affected by this new WERI building. What we plan on building is a 3-story building. So one of the variances for zone variance, because the whole university campus is R2. I think the university does plan on trying to change the variance or the zoning so that every time or the next time they build a facility, they don't need to go through the GLUC process. But also the other thing that they're going for is a height variance. So we plan on increasing the building's height by 6 feet. And the only reason why we plan on building it 6 feet higher than the original 30 feet, so it'll be 36 feet total, is to allow for better ventilation. It's a research facility, so we want to make sure that the mechanical systems are adequate and placed into those facilities that, you know, any fumes or any of the research chemicals that they're using doesn't negatively affect the research and researchers and the people within the building. On the first floor, it's going to have some labs. So it's going to have a water testing lab, and that's also where the chemicals are going to be stored to. And I know there was concern about like the chemicals, but the WERI building has been doing research for the past 50 years. So they have been using the chemicals. It has been approved with EPA, and it's nothing new to the chemicals that they have been doing right now concurrently for testing for Guam. On the second floor, there's also some more research facilities. So we have research facilities, but also some classrooms in this area. And then on the third floor is for faculty and staff. There's some offices. and meeting areas for them. The whole building is around 15,000 square foot, so it's around 5,000 square feet each floor. Also, like part of the feature that we were kind of thinking about, like since we are increasing the height, is that we are gonna include higher glazing windows, which allows more daylight to go in. You know, it makes it a facility that looks nicer, but then also it's more efficient. So they're not using more like lights, but they're using more daylight to go into the facility. And we can refer to those renderings we have there. And I'm sure Rin is gonna make a nice, pretty building, because this is gonna be in the front of universities. So this is gonna be like when you enter the university, it's gonna be one of the few buildings that you see once you come onto the campus. So the university would want to make sure that this is a facility that isn't an eyesore. They want to make sure that it's, you know, a welcoming facility that, you know, you're like, oh, wow, this is a nice campus. I don't think, yeah, so mainly the problem was that people are also concerned about drainage. This area in the Dean Circle is relatively flat, and there's also a Pawnee Basin in this location, which is hardly been used. So there's no runoff going to be going into the bay. I know that there are people worried about what would run off, but there wouldn't be any runoff that would go into the bay and negatively affect the wildlife. And if you guys have any questions about it?
Yeah, let me ask a question. You do know where the B circle is the area enough for you to place that building?
Yes, it's actually a very.
So there's no building within this B circle that's going to be removed or demolished?
No, it's near the overflow parking lot. So there's a lot of green space that is just cleared in green space, which is going to be placed there.
And the water pressure in that area is good for that building?
It's a little low, but what UOG does is that they have a big water tank. So the water pressure that is not meeting, they actually use that water tank to provide water to the rest of the facility.
And you heard the comments of the architect's representative. Do I hear any comments from the public? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Do I hear any comments from the commission and from the agri commissioners? None? Okay. Now,
I actually have a couple of questions.
yes, sir.
If I may. I tend to, ask a lot of questions. So just bear with me. I guess one of the things that I didn't get from reading the material is, as WERI currently occupies how much square footage in the marine lab? No, in the marine lab. And what are they, and we know that they're going to be upgrading to about 1,500 or 15,000 square feet. So what is that growth? From what are they currently in or occupying? How much space are they currently occupying to the 15,000 square feet? Do we know? Or is it's the same amount of square? No. It's about 1,600, 1,700 square feet. So they're 10 times what they are currently occupying.
No, it's the building is 15. So it's actually 1,000 less than what they're currently.
No.
The building is 15,000 square
Square
feet
feet.
usable.
And what they're currently in is about 1,600. So they're going up to about 10 times.
Yes.
Okay, so the growth of the facility, going to about 10 times the square footage that they're currently occupying. Is there a reason for that? And can you explain what the reason is?
They're very tight right now.
Oh, I know that. And I know that, you're expanding your research capability, and they're going to be like, classroom.
Yeah, there's-
And new course,
There's classrooms, there's, so like on the first floor, like right now they're sharing with Marine Lab, but the
Right.
first floor, they need a dedicated area for their soils testing. They need a dedicated area for their water testing. They need a dedicated area for their chemical storage, which takes the space. And then also for in the second floor, we have like classrooms program, and I don't think that they have to combine their classroom with the Marine Lab. So like that technically doesn't count in their space that they're occupying, because those classrooms that they're using is part of the Marine Lab, but it's not dedicated to WERI. So like the classrooms currently being used right now is not counted in that calculation. But then also they don't have dedicated research offices for the WERI professors. So they have to share facilities with universe or for the Marine Lab, which, you know, sometimes you have like 3 or 4 professors sitting in a cramped little area because that's all they have space for.
Okay, I'm just asking because, you know, typically growth, you know, from a facility standpoint, if you're at 1,600 square feet, you know, 5 times what you're currently using is acceptable. But when you go to 10 times, I mean, there's got to be, you know, something behind that, and programs that you don't currently offer that you're going to offer. I just wanted to know what that was.
That's why I thought was that the WERI program was actually supposed to be its own thing. Back when it was instituted, they had to combine with the Marine Lab because that was the best space for the research facilities with labs. But they didn't have their own dedicated space. Now that the university has the money to put a dedicated WERI space, this is what they need for their facility. So this is what they
So
originally
in
needed.
40 years almost,
They're
actually more than 40 years, WERI has been unable to offer programs that they typically would have if they had been an independent entity.
Yeah, so they're basically working off of the space that they were provided, but there wasn't adequate space that they needed to.
Just, you know, because I've been down in Marine Lab, and I can tell you that I can't imagine that they had a 15, they're going to 15,000 square feet. That's not 3,000 square feet that they're currently occupying, you know. So I was just wondering why it's so much. Well, I'm not satisfied with my end.
If you don't mind, the other representatives of the WERI could be seated in there so that we can. And state your name, please.
I can speak to that. All right. John Jensen, recently retired, but I spent the last 6 years as director. I spent 29 years on the faculty of WERI, got here in '93, and then spent the last 6 years as director. And WERI has grown. We have expanded our mission, and we currently occupy a building that was funded back in 1989 as a joint project of WERI at the time with the Marine Lab, and we occupied the WERI half of it. And at that time, there were 4 members of WERI, and we now have 7 positions and creating a position for administrator. The mission has expanded to include one of the things that was launched about the time I came on board was the environmental science program. And the WERI faculty constitute about a third of that program in terms of the number of faculty, but we've graduated more than two-thirds of students. And so we have the greatest need is for student space. And we've graduated in this time about the program has graduated over 70 students, and we've graduated about almost 50. And there was laboratory space in the back of the area, which has all been converted to student space and faculty space. We have temporary area with the and so we've outgrown it. At any given time, we've got about 13 student research assistants, in addition to our water quality. The water quality lab started out with just 4 people. We have a staff of about 8 people in it. And the demand for the services in the water quality lab has steadily grown. And not only the demand for the services in the larger community, but for the research work that besides the volume of service, the types of service and analysis. And so you need places. We've got in the laboratory, we've got machines stacked on top of each other and occupying counter space, which is needed for doing regular work. So it's the building that we are putting up has been deliberately designed with a mission in mind, and has been justified in terms of mission requirements for the laboratory, the teaching, especially the teaching mission, and the number of faculty that we have in the building has essentially doubled compared to what it was in 1989. So those are the general aspects of it. That answers specific questions.
In fact, what the point is, I want to make is, I'm excited that the University of Guam about this facility, putting up this facility, and doing so, you need to toot your horn. That the things that we would have wanted to do over the years, over the decades, because you've been around for almost 40 years, or the organization WERI has been around for almost 40 years. And there are a lot of things that this island government has been dependent upon for WERI to accomplish, especially when it comes to ensuring that we maintain water quality throughout our island, what comes out of our aquifer. And then over the years when these water filtration systems started becoming of general public use or general availability for public use to purchase water from these water machines, there was some question of questions with regard to whether or not the owners of these machines were properly maintaining it, leaving WERI in charge of making sure that the companies that were selling water to the public were properly being tested, and that the machines were being properly serviced. And so I understand it, but and this is exciting. But when I was asked to be part of this hybrid commission, it was the first I heard that this was being done, and I would have figured like months out, WERI would have been tuning their horn, or University of Guam would have been tuning their horn. It's like, we're going to be doing this. We're going to, and this is an exciting time, and that we're growing our footprint from roughly 1,600 square feet to 15,000 square feet, not only to perform our mission of doing research and testing, but to actually expand our educational mission, with the University of Guam, which is exciting. It's just like when I heard the School of Engineering was coming up, exciting time for me. And so I just wanted to make that out. And that's why I asked the question, because it's really important that it's on record that this is why we're doing what we're doing. And this is what we're looking at, approving, or, for whatever reason, making any adjustments that necessary. But these are the only kinds of things that not only for the island. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm Thomas Price, the president of the University of Guam, just to toot the horn a bit, just to say that just this past week, WERI, thanks to Dr. John Jensen, culminated 25 years of effort to create the One Guam initiative. So this is it's something that really is being noted as a model for the rest of the country for the unified management of freshwater resources. Dr. Jensen and his WERI colleagues have really demonstrated to certainly to the scientific world and to the extent that we can with our press releases and various ways of letting it be known that we have an extraordinary aquifer here in Guam that's the subject of study all over the world, that it's certainly worth our effort to take care of it, and that WERI has been very much at the center of keeping it one of the most remarkable aquifers that we have. And you can look around our region for places that have lost their aquifer. Just look to the north and Saipan for what can happen if you don't take good care of it. So WERI is very much at the center of that. WERI is also largely responsible for the creation of the School of Engineering. So the impetus and the original faculty and engagement and the effort to promote the program, including the pre-engineering program, that goes back decades, was all centered on WERI. So WERI is really at the center of a lot of what's going very, very well at the University of Guam. And this is good for all of us in Guam and the whole region. So we'll do a better job of trying to get the news out. We do get 97% of our press releases are picked up by the local press, compared to low teens is more common among universities. So we're doing really well. So we'll keep tooting our horns. Thank you.
Thank you.
The comments of our president of the University of Guam. And hearing that, do I have additional comments? Yes, sir. Since you're giving me direct rights. I'd like to point out that of the 50 or so students that we graduated from the program, I'm talking about the WERI students that have been sponsored by WERI research projects and led by WERI advisors. About 25 of them are employed or have been out in the region or have gone to the States and come back. And so we got 25 of them that are either currently employed or have been continuously employed or have come back and spent the bulk of their careers or spending their careers now here in the local economy.
Okay. Do any other comments from the commissioners? I will now turn over this portion of the application to comments from the public. Do we have any comments from the public? Yeah, go ahead. State your name.
Hi, I'm Brent Weesey with them architects. We're actually designing the WERI building. I'm only here in case you had questions about the new building. We've gone through all the ARC comments. There's nothing that we can't accommodate. There's some new stuff coming from Department of Ag, weather-friendly windows and uplighting. This is great stuff, especially in that areas with bats. You know, we don't want uplighting. In fact, this is something we talked about before in front of the ARC about how we can reduce uplighting with the home. So we will accommodate that. So it will be incorporated into the design. So anything in the ARC comes to that. So and I'm here with questions.
This is also equipped with the solar panel.
No, but it is set up so that we can do things.
Thank you.
We're waiting for it to be affordable. You know, I hear that the current federal administration is going to be slowly giving out money for government facilities to transition from old fossil fuels to PVs. And so, and like their facility, we're building a new facility at about $9.3 million. And we're designing it so the hookups will be seen.
Thank you, Mayor Gobi, but we would like this to be political.
No, no, no. We have to spend the money every time.
Any other comments from the public? But I don't hear any other.
I have a question, you know, you mentioned it, but one of the things that the ARC had mentioned was the section 106 review, historical, cultural impacts. Has that been done? Okay, yes. I saw that it was in the ARC comment, I didn't see the response.
There are no other comments from the public. I would like to open this now to the applicant's representative to answer the comments of the public. And since there's none, we'll proceed to commissioners. Any additional comments or discussion with this application? And now ready to entertain two separate motions. First motion will be for the application number 2021-32, the applicant, University of Guam, represented by TRMA or Mangilao Associates. As requesting for a zone variance for use to allow for the construction and operation of a 3-story educational research facility, WERI or WERI, in a residential zone on lot number 5376 and EW-3 in the Municipality of Mangilao in an R1 single family dwelling zone. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chair. I move that the Guam Land Use Commission consider approving application number 2021-32, which will grant the University of Guam to build a 3-story educational research facility in a residential zone on lot 5376 U-3. The municipality. It's second.
Oh, okay. Motion is made by Mayor Goku and seconded by.
Yeah, based on the recommendations of the.
Do I hear a second? So you made
Second.
Okay. Motion is seconded. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion to approve application 2021-32, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Motion carries. And second motion would be for the application number 2022-33. The applicant, again, University of Guam, represented by TRMA, is requesting for a zone variance for height for an additional 6 feet from the required maximum height of 30 feet for the proposed construction of the Water and Environmental Research Institute building on lot number 5376 NEW-3 in the Municipality of Mangilao in an R1 single family dwelling zone. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the application for the zone, for the height variance. Application number 2023. University of Guam represented for a building variance height for an additional 60 from the maximum height of 30 feet for the proposed construction of the Water and Environmental Research Institute, WERI, building on lot number. Hold on. Let me go to my meeting. 5376 -3 in the Municipality of Mangilao in R1 single family dwelling zone. In case matter Frank Techno.
Okay. Motion is made by Mayor Johnson. Do I hear a second? And seconded by Mayor Blas. Very good. Any discussions on the motion?
Based based on the conditions created by the. Let's start for October, the date on October 31st. 21st.
Did we hear that last meeting? We make in addition to the motions, you added that, right?
Yes.
And then second by. Okay.
Next time we'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the record.
Okay, any discussion in the motion?
What is fishing?
Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion to approve the application 2021-33, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
That's motion carried. Application 2022-33 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'd like to close the portion of our meeting, and I would like to say thank you for coming over. And I would like to. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right.
All in favor?
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you, guys.
I'd like to take a recess for 5 minutes so that we can touch so that we can have a environment. So you until I needed
Madam Chair, we are recording.
One is to top the day, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Guam Land Use Commission for Thursday, October 27, 2022. The time is now 2:30 p.m. I will proceed in taking roll call. Vice Chairman Archan.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Leilani Flores. Thank you. Commissioner Manita Blas has excused himself. He is not present. We do have legal counsel in touch. We also have our executive secretary, Mr. Joseph Borja. We have our chief planner, Celine Cruz, as well as others from the planning department. Today's meeting is being live streamed on the YouTube channel of the Guam Department of Land Management. The next item on the agenda, I'd like to go ahead and entertain the approval of the minutes. Before the commission today is the minutes from the last GLUC meeting of Thursday, October 13, 2022. Commissioners have been emailed the draft, and I am now ready to entertain a motion for action.
Motion to approve the minutes of October 13, 2022.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Flores. Do I hear a second?
I can second that motion.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairman Chan. Any errors or omissions? Any discussion on the minutes? There being none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye, raising your hand. Thank you very much. The ayes have it. Minutes of October 13, 2022 are now approved. See, there are no old or unfinished business. So moving on, and if the commission has no objections, I would like to change the order of the agenda for today's meeting. I would like to entertain applications 2022-29 as well as 2022-30.
Oh, just
There being none, we'll go ahead and proceed by entertaining first of all, application 2022-29. I turn the floor over to Chief Planner Cruz, our representative.
Madam Chair, if we may, applications 2022-29 and 2022-30 are the same applicant, the same representative on the same lot. So we'd like to present a combined staff report for the two applicants.
Okay. So recommendation request rather by Chief Planner Cruz to entertain both application 2022-29 and 30 for the same applicant represented by TRMA. But if there are no objections by the commission, I would like to go ahead and ask Chief Planner Cruz to proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll go ahead and read the staff report dated October 2022 on behalf of Chief Planner Mr. Frank Teixeira and myself, Sunny. The application number 2022-29 tentative development plan and application number 2022-30 zone variance for setback on lot 5118 number 1-7-5 units in the municipality of Tamuning. The applicant PSI Holdings LLC, represented by TRMA Architect, is requesting approval of a tentative development plan for the construction of a 3-story, 6-unit multi-family condominium building and a zone variance for setback for proposed 5 feet left side yard setback for the Tumon Lock residences on the subject lot in the municipality of Tamuning. The legal authority is Title 21 GPA, Section 60401 of Chapter 60, Section 61311, under the Hotel Resort Zone of Chapter 61 Zoning Law, and Section 3312, Article 3, Title 18 under the GAR, Interim Hotel Resort Zone under the Rules and Regulations, and Title 21 GPA of Chapter 61, Section 61616 to 61624. The subject lot is located along Bonga Road, approximately 300 feet from the junction of Pale Sambatoris Road and Bonga Road. The lot area is 1,004 square meters or 10,808 square feet and is presently Zone H, Hotel Resort Zone. The front portion of the lot is a paved area that was formerly used as overflow parking and currently has two container model homes temporarily situated on it. The elevated rear portion of the lot is undeveloped and is presently being cleared of its vegetation. Under the North and Central Land Use Plan, the area was designated as H Hotel Resort. Under the Community Design Plan, the area was designated as resort, and there was no previous commission action. The application was first accepted on March 10, 2022, presented to the Application Review Committee on April 21st, 2022. Also, just to note, a public hearing is not required for the tentative development plan. However, a public hearing was held on September 13, 2022 for application number 2022-30 for the zone variance for setback. We note that in response to the public hearing notice, we received the attached no objection letter from Father Romeo Convicar, pastor of the Blessed Diego Luis Islamic Storage Church. On to our discussion and staff analysis with regards to the tentative development plan application. As proposed, the plan is to develop a condominium complex consisting of a single 3-story, 6-unit condominium building, with each unit occupying 3 stories, having a parking garage for 2 vehicles on the 1st floor and a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom condominium unit on the above 2nd and 3rd floor. In addition, the complex is to have appropriate landscaping and on-site stormwater mitigation system, a perimeter security fence, and a garden on the rear portion of the property. In line with the zoning law and the interim hotel resort zoning rules and regulations, the commission may approve a tentative development plan upon determination that such use is normally to be found in a tourism-related development area, and that the use is reasonably compatible with existing or reasonably foreseeable development in the surrounding area. Uses normally to be found in a tourism-related development area include cultural and recreational facilities, hotels, restaurants, tourism-related shops and offices, dwellings, parking, marinas, zoos, amusement, activities, and supportive services, which are accessory and clearly complementary to principal uses and reasonably compatible with existing or foreseeable development in the surrounding area. With regards to the zone variance for setback application, the zone variance request is for 5 feet left side yard setback for the proposed 3-story, 6-unit condominium building. Pursuant to section 61617 of chapter 61, title 21 GPA, variances may be granted by the commission, provided that the applicant can justify 5 criteria as follows. That the strict application of the provisions would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purpose and intent of the law. In response, the applicant provides that the subject lot is a rhomboidal shaped property with an acute 29-degree edge at the back of the property and is just barely under the 15 dwelling unit per acre lot size of 10,808 square feet by less than 72 square feet. The northeast side of the property that fronts the road east the center of the road that leads to Halle Towards Road. This means that the large portions of the property are otherwise unbuildable due to setbacks or the access road taking a portion of the unusable property. That there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or the intended uses thereof that do not apply generally to other properties in the same zone. The applicant provides that the subject lot is adjacent to developed properties, making the road on the east portion of the property the only side that traffic can flow in and out of. Unlike the other neighboring properties, which have generous frontage to the road, the subject lot only has 59 feet to allow for ingress and egress. Being residential units, the road would need to run the length of the property. If the access road would circumference the building, there would be no room to provide an adequate turning radius for the cars to enter and exit. Thus, the design opts to have the access road a double lane so that cars can use the 24-foot road to turn in and out of the garage. The granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property improvements in the neighborhood in which the property is located. The applicant provides that the setback variance pushes the building to the southern portion of the property that is both abuts a small lot that is used for parking. The other property south of the lot has a retaining wall 20 feet above the road level of the property, setting the building 5 feet away from the southern property line. Does not overshadow or impact the views of the property owners from the south of the lawn. North of the property is a plaza that houses the former Bank of Guam where the mechanical equipment is placed. There is no readily available view to the ocean, nor will the building be much taller than the adjacent development. Next, that the granting of such variances will not be contrary to the objectives of any part of the Guam master plan. The applicant provides that this zone variance for setback change is not counter to the H zoning designation of Tuman, and for all intents and purposes, meets the needs for a higher density and is surrounded by a largely developed area. The building will also align with smart growth goals of the Bureau's subdivision plan, since the building will be a walking distance from shopping centers and services will provide the residents well-being as well as reducing car traffic going to those shopping centers. Next, as to the variance for the restriction of section 61504 GPA, the proposed building will substantially enhance the recreational, aesthetic, or commercial value of the beach or upon which the building is to be constructed, and that such building shall not interfere with adversely affect the surrounding property owners or the public rights and untraveled use of the beach and its natural beauty. The applicant provides that the building is on the east side of Sandy Springs Road and does not have views to the beach from the building closer to the ocean side. Developing the property will enhance the commercial and aesthetic value of the adjacent building, since there will not be a forested area that can be used for one activity. In our assessment of this application, as it pertains to each request, we find that as presented by the applicant, the proposed development is in line with the Imperial Hotel Resort Zone rules and regulations, whereby the development is compatible with other existing developments within the Tuman Hotel Resort area. Also, we find that the applicant has provided adequate justification in reference to the criteria cited in section 61617 of chapter 61, title 21 GPA for the requested variance. In addition, the submitted application review committee position statements are with no objection and a result of the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council meeting on September 19, 2022 and September 22, 2022, and also on September 29, 2022, Resolution 2022-006 is in support of the tentative development plan and was adopted by the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council. Also the resolution included both support for both applications. Therefore, we have concluded that this request is in proper form and context to be considered favorably by the Guam Land. And lastly, on to our recommendation, planning staff recommend approval of applications 2022-29 and 2022-30. We recommend approval with conditions as follows. 1, that the applicant shall adhere to all application review committee conditions and requirements as stipulated in their official position statement. Number 2, that any future additional development or changes to the approved site plan shall require the applicant to submit an amended tentative development plan application for review and approval by the Guam Land Use Commission. And lastly, number 3, that the applicant shall provide a landscaping plan pursuant to section 5G of the interim resort hotel rules and regulations for review and approval by the Guam chief planner. Also attached with the staff report is included the attachment for the ARC memo GLUC number, results of the public hearing, and the letter from Father Romeo, as well as the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council resolution. And this concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Case Planner Gokli. I now turn it over to my fellow commissioners to see if you have any questions or comments. There being none, thank you very much. I now turn it over to the representative of PSI Holdings LLC. We have here present TRM Architects. Please.
My name is David Monroe. So,
Yeah, please have a seat and okay, just introduce yourself for the record.
So my name is David Monroe. I'm representing for Tamuning Architects. And with me is Kiko Satsuma. He's representing for PSI Holdings. So we have me here again for two GLUC applications again, because, you know, Guam is opening up after like COVID. And so all these projects are starting to go back, and all these things that were pushed back behind are starting to rev up again. And this project was actually in a long while that they wanted to build, but because COVID and all these restrictions, everything kind of slowed down. PSI is a company that they develop a lot of properties along Tamuning and Tumon. We worked with them on several other projects where they take wonton kind of like overgrown like buildings and like areas of properties and kind of fix them up. So we did a couple projects where it was kind of an area where they had people dumping in areas and people living and squatting, and they kind of clean up the area. So they were a very good neighbor community. And this is another project that they're focusing on in Tumon, and especially because Tumon is our tourism district where we bring our tourists to come, and we want to make it as nice as we can. So their goal is to make this property, in the standards of Tumon, of making it a tourist spot. So the property right now, as it sits, it's behind Santa Torres Church. And when you turn into the road, right going into Santa Torres, right behind the old Bank of Guam building is it's a trapezoidal kind of shaped property. Because it's such a long and oddly shaped building, it makes it really hard to build anything right there. So right now that it's used as overflow parking, and the backside is kind of a green space area, but because of setbacks, it makes it very hard for anyone to build. But part of our job as architects is we try to figure and make a circle fit in a square peg, right? So to help that is that we want to push the setbacks from the back of the property 5 feet, so we can allow for a 2-lane road to go into the units. We plan on having a 3-story condominium, and part of the reason why we're going 3 stories is to allow for the maximum use of space, but also we plan on putting the parking at the bottom. So the parking would be the first floor and the entrance, and on the second floor you have the main dining kitchen area, and then there is a den bedroom, and then on the second floor you have 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and that's where the main sleeping area is. And it's going to be 6 units. The applicant could actually go for, or PSI could actually go for 10, but they want to make it a reasonable size building, and they want to make it a nice livable space. So part of the concerns that we've heard about this project is that people worried about parking along the road. We're going to provide adequate parking for the facilities. There's going to be 2 parking stalls per unit. So we do not plan to have parking along the road and congesting that area. The other concern that people were worried about is stormwater, I guess, because as it's Tumon, there's a lot of stormwater problems. But where we're situated right now, we're actually at the bottom of the hill. So we would be catching our stormwater, but also we'd actually have a beneficial effect because we would be catching possibly the stormwater that's coming from other properties up the hill. And then the third concern, which was actually from the ARC, even for the last project, is our friendly bird avian. That's not really a concern for us, we believe, because behind the property is a 25-foot retaining wall, and there's properties behind us, so we're not impacting the view of them, and we're actually behind the Bank of Guam building, so we're not impacting views. And I mean, if I would doubt a bird would come and fly into our area, they would probably hit Bank of Guam before us or the retaining wall before us. Other than that, we haven't had any concerns when we did public hearing from the public, and for the general part, a lot of people are in favor of this project.
Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and open the floor to my commissioner colleagues to see if you have any questions or comments. So I do have at least one. It's called the Tumon Loft Residences. I'm assuming that they will be sold as opposed to serve as rental units.
No,
Currently, we don't have any plans to sell. No, we haven't ruled it out, but for the most part, we haven't, we do a lot of rental units already. We have an apartment complex, we have some commercial rentals. We don't typically sell off units. So at this point, we don't have any plans to sell.
And then the targeted tenants for this proposed facility.
So professionals, it's because it's 2 months, the rates are a little higher over there, so it'll be for the higher rental rates, so it's gonna be for military.
Thank you. I don't have any further question. I do. Let's see if there are no other comments. Yes. Okay, if there are no other comments. I'll go ahead and move to public comment. If there are any members in the audience who represent the public, if you would like to comment on these two applications, you're welcome to come forward and announce your name and present to this body. I don't see any, so I'll go ahead and move to close public comment. And at this time, I think we are ready to entertain a motion for action. If there are no additional discussion items or comments, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for action. And because we do have two applications, I'll go ahead and we'll tackle each one separately. So we have the application number 2022-29, the applicant PSI Holdings LLC, represented by TRMA Architects, is requesting approval of a tentative development plan for the construction of a 6-unit multifamily condominium, Tumon Loft Residences on lot 5118, number 1-7-1 NEW Tumon in the Municipality of Tamuning in an H hotel resort zone. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I think the motion to approve application number 2022-29 based on the recommendation stated in the October 2022.
Thank you very much. Motion is made by Commissioner Flores. Do I hear a second? Thank you very much, Vice Chairman Chan. Any further discussion or questions? If there being none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor of approving application number 2022-29, please signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Thank you very much. It's unanimous. Application number 2022-29 is hereby approved. I'm now ready to entertain a motion for application number 2022-30. The applicant PSI Holdings LLC, represented by TRMA Architects, is requesting approval of a zone variance for setback for the proposed construction of a 6-unit multifamily condominium, Tumon Loft Residences, with a left yard setback of 5 feet from the required 10 feet on lot 5118, number 1-7-NEW Tumon in the Municipality of Tamuning in an H hotel resort zone. Do I hear a motion to approve this application?
I recommend motion to approve application number 2022-30 based on the recommendation stated in the October 2022 staff.
Thank you very much. Motion made by Commissioner Flores. Do I hear a second? Thank you very much, Vice Chairman Chan. Any further discussion? Any question or comments on this particular motion? If there being none, all in favor of approving application number 2022-30, subject to recommendation by the in the staff report, please signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Okay, it is unanimous. Application number 2022-30 is approved. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your time. So now we will go back to the first two items under new business. We have before us a zone change application number 2021-11. The applicant Anthony M. Palomo, represented by Daniel B. Swavely, is requesting for a zone change from R-1 single family dwelling to LC limited commercial zone in order to annex the subject lot and the planning Oka Pacific Plaza property on lot 5172-3-3-6 NTW -R1 in the municipality of Tamuning. And the case planner for this is Mr. Frank Titano. I will now turn the floor over to either Mr. Titano or the case planner for presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We will, we will turn it over to our case planner, Ms. Goto. He is ready.
Staff report, on behalf of case planner Mr. Frank Titano. The staff report dated October 18, 2022. For application number 2021-11. The applicant is Anthony M. Palomo, represented by Daniel B. Swavely, is requesting approval of the zone change from R1 single family dwelling to LC limited commercial zone to allow the construction of a one-story limited commercial building on lot 517-3-3. For the expansion of the Oka Pacific Plaza in the municipality of Mangilao. The legal authority is section 06163 changes of zones of chapter 61 zoning law, title 21 GTA, and the Guam Land Use Commission resolution 2015-03 for the clarification on applying limited commercial zoning designation. The subject lot is located along Governor Carlos Camacho Road between the northern boundary of Oka Pacific Plaza and the southern boundary of existing residents along San Mateo Lane. The lot area is 7,705 square meters or 83,936 square feet and is presently zoned R1 zone. The site is presently vacant and is presently overgrown with various types of brown pepper vegetation, small bushes, and a canopy of various types of trees. Under the North and Central Land Use Plan, the area was designated as mixed use. Under the Community Development Plan, the area was designated as urban residential, and there was no previous commission. The application was first accepted on April 30th, 2021, and presented the application on June 1st, 2021. A public hearing was at the Senior Center on February 16, 2022. In addition to the public hearing, in response to the public hearing notice, we received a letter from Mr. Toyohito Yoniyama on April 18, 2022. Onto the discussion and staff analysis, the applicant's request is for a zone change approval and pursuant to section 61630 of chapter 61, title 21 GPA, where it states that commission may, with approval of the governor, change the zone established under this chapter whenever it finds that public necessity, convenience, and general welfare justify such action. The applicant, in response for the zone change, submits the following justification: compatibility of proposed project with adjacent and neighborhood development. The Oka Pacific Plaza complex, including the subject lot, has been owned by Anthony M. Palomo since the early 1970s. The lot was only part of the complex. Further, such rezoning is especially timely now because the surrounding neighborhood has grown by hundreds of residential units and hotel rooms, as well as several major private businesses and public services. This nearby growing market opens an opportunity for more retail sales and office rental space, particularly where associated with a well-established commercial complex that has been operating with a 90% occupancy rate. Lastly, compatibility with the adjacent neighborhood is achieved because the subject lot is physically situated below the surrounding neighborhood by as much as 35. After final grading, the proposed floor elevation of the new single-story commercial building will be 20 feet below neighboring properties. Onto the public necessity. Oka Pacific Plaza relies mostly on local traffic and customers from within the Tamuning area. While all economic indicators generally impact each other within an insular community, forecasts of employment and wages are more indicative of the justification for additional commercial development than our macro data relating to tourist arrival, the military buildup, and the Guam's budget. Both the latest Bureau of Labor Statistics economic indicators reports, as well as NIDA's Guam Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy 2020 to 2025, pretend low unemployment and gradually rising wages, along with an overall expectation of economic growth. That the projection is particularly descriptive of Guam's post-COVID-19 era. Consequently, there is a capacity for more commercial growth, particularly as an appendage to Oka Pacific Plaza, which is an existing successful commercial complex. In regards to public convenience, the Oka Pacific Plaza is a permanent property with controlled ingress and egress to both Fahrenheit Avenue and Governor Carlos Camacho Road. The new commercial building planned for the subject property will expand the commercial footprint of Oka Pacific Plaza by about 20% and the use of existing ingress egress. In regards to general welfare, the new commercial structure and collateral amenities will all conform to Guam's building code, and the proposed zone is limited commercial, which will preclude potentially noisy after hours tenants such as bars, nightclubs, game rooms, and similar businesses. On October 18, 2022, the applicant submitted a supplemental package to the application consisting of a copy of the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council resolution of support, resolution number 2022-005, and copies of advertisements as a record of public notices. Also, the clarification of the Department of Parks and Recreation condition of their no objection position on the zone change of the subject lot to be applied during the permitting process. And clarification of the Department of Agriculture's condition on their support position of the zone change of the subject lot to be applied during the clearing and grading and or building permitting process. And request for relief with reasons provided from the Department of Public Works recommendation to revise the site development plan and incorporate the changes to provide another ingress coming into the proposed commercial building across Coffee Street along Governor Carlos Camacho Road. In our analysis, considering that the context of the application provides justification that public necessity, convenience, and general welfare support a positive action on the zone change request, that the subject zone change request received no objection position statement from the application review committee members, that the zone change is consistent with the mixed use designation and in accordance with the North and Central Guam Land Use Plan, future land use map. Additionally, the result of the community public hearing was positive, and that as a result of the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council public hearing held on September 19, 2022, and September 22, 2022, Resolution 2022-005 is in support of the zone change and was adopted with conditions on September 29, 2022 by the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council. Accordingly, we find the above and the context of the application provides an explanation of the compatibility of the proposed project with adjacent and neighborhood development as they exist and justification that public necessity, convenience, and general welfare support a positive action on the zone change request. Lastly, onto our recommendation, planning staff recommends approval subject to the following conditions. A, that the applicant adheres to the ARC permitting agency's conditions and requirements as stipulated in their official position statement. And B, that the applicant adheres to the conditions of the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council resolution number 2022-005, which states that 1, the Oka Pacific Plaza will more effectively utilize its north side parking area, particularly for the tenant employees. And 2, that a decorative security fence will be erected along the southern Governor Carlos Camacho Road on the side of lot 5172-3-3-6 new-R1. Number 3, number 4, that the applicant will seek approval from DPW to widen the existing ingress at Governor Carlos Camacho Road to provide for one lane ingress, one lane left turn only egress, and one lane right turn only egress. Oh, I'm sorry, one more condition under the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council resolution. I'm sorry, it was number 3, that a decorative security fence will be erected along the upper western side of the subject lot. And then C, lastly, that the applicant is relieved of one of the Department of Public Works recommendations to revise the site development plan and incorporate the changes to provide another ingress coming into the proposed commercial building across Alto Coffee Street along Governor Carlos Camacho Road. And in line with condition number 4 on the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council Resolution 2022-005, the applicant is required to work with the Department of Public Works to arrive at a safe solution to address the situation at the existing egress on Governor Carlos Camacho Road. Also included with the staff report is the ARC position statement, minutes of the public hearing, a copy of the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council resolution, and supplement number 1 to the application. And this concludes the staff report.
Thank you very much. Ms. Godwin, I now open the floor to our commissioners to see if you have any questions. For Mr. No. Thank you very much. I don't have any questions. So we do now turn it over to the applicant or the applicant's representative who apparently are here today. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Dan Swavely. I'm representing Mr. Anthony Palomo, the property owner, and I'm joined by my associate Kyle Borja. First of all, my apologies for prompting a 5-page staff report. That's a record. But everything in it, from my point of view, is correct, and it correctly records the responses that we went through on all 3 public hearings. And I agree with the conditions of approval, and we are ready to accept them. I think it's a very complete presentation. Thank you for that, all of you who were involved with it. I'm prepared to make a presentation. I'm also prepared just to go right into questions that you might have about the application, and perhaps with my answers, more will come out. I can elaborate. It's up to the commissioners, of course.
Well, I think we've all had an opportunity to review the packet, unless commissioners, we would like Mr. Swavely to proceed with presentation, or shall we proceed with just the questions?
Yes.
The presentation?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
please proceed.
no problem. So Kyle will be putting some exhibits on the TV. I see now that that's not such a good shouting place for nice church art and Nick, I'm sorry about that. But there we are. Let's start real quickly here with the vicinity map. Just so this project is behind, well, simply stated, behind Oka Pacific. Yeah. There's a strip behind there in Oka Pacific Plaza, and then there is a vacant property between the last strip and Governor Camacho Road, and that's the 2 acres that this property is all about. It's always been planned. Yeah, it's always been planned to be a part of Oka Pacific Plaza, but it was postponed, frankly, until conditions were better in the economy and in the neighborhood. But as you can see, over the last 20 years, been more residences, more commercial establishments, more government improvements in the area. So the owner, Mr. Palomo, thought this is the time now to annex this last part into Oka Pacific Plaza. We chose the zone LC, limited commercial, because we wanted a commercial zone with restrictions, meaning simply we will have absolutely no noisy after-hour tenants on this property, such as bars, nightclubs, game rooms, and similar businesses. And that is a zone we're asking for. And those are the conditions to that zone to which we suggest. The site plan here shows the big block on the right-hand side bottom is Oka. Payless, yeah. And behind the gray area is the strip of commercial already there. And to the right is another strip of commercial stores already there. Our project is on the left. Yeah, way up there. That's the parking to our project. And the building itself is the left gray rectangle. Something to note about this site plan is that we have not allowed for any backdoor delivery to the building. Everything is in the front. We have our trash to the side. We have all of our parking in the front. These are all things that we believe will make the property work better as well as be more compatible to the neighborhood. Now let's take a look at the section view of the. Yeah, here we go. So let me orient you. On the right-hand side, we have basically the back of Oka Payless right there. That's at elevation plus 40. Then we go up a ramp for 15 feet in elevation, and then we have the floor elevation of the new building. That's at elevation 55. Okay. That building will be a one-story commercial structure, approximately 200 feet long, and 60 feet wide, and it will be no more than 20 feet tall. So then if you add the elevation of 55 feet where the floor is, you add 20 for the building, you come up to 75. 75 is the elevation of the backyard of the properties behind us. So that's why this does not extend beyond the properties to the rear. That's about the nature of the property. I called it an annex to Oka Pacific Plaza. I did a parking study which reflected the typical tenants we now have at Oka Pacific Plaza, and I put them in there with the typical floor spaces and typical employees, and came out to about a need for some 70-some parking spaces. For providing 86 there, because frankly, they never enough parking places like that, right? So that should work out okay. The conditions of approval to which we agreed, even suggested some frankly, is that, how would you go back to the site plan once more? Does that show the northern, yeah, blow it up, I want to show the place we're going. Oh yeah, it's right there. Okay, yeah, go right. See that? Maybe there. Google Earth. Google Earth, yeah, okay, there. Okay, on the left, we have Oka, right? That's where we all go around the parking lot. But look over to the right, where Kyle has his cursor. That is also Oka parking, and it is rarely used. And this was brought up to us by the public. There's not enough parking there. My point is, hey, I did the count. There's plenty of parking there, and then encourage all of us. That part over there is never used. So what we're doing is, as this is condition number 1, we are requiring our tenants' employees to park over there, opening the main route of the parking lot that we all go around, right, for customers. So I think that's going to make a big difference for the whole thing. Then another condition is that some of the neighbors were saying, we live across the street, we live across Camacho Road, and I don't really want to see the top of a building or something like that. You know, I don't quite get it. But the fact is that we have agreed to put a decorative and protective fence along the sidewalk as it goes up a hill there along Camacho Road to, first of all, protect pedestrians, which we have many, but we want it to be a little decorative too, so people across the street have something better to look at than typical chain link fence, right? Which you know. And then also across the back of the property, where Kyle has his cursor going across there to the right, across back there on our property, we will also put another decorative protective fence. So those are the conditions that we are happy to comply with. This whole business about access, et cetera, is this. You might see where Achotasi comes down into Camacho Road, right there, right where the cursor is, right? And then you go down a little bit, and then you have the ingress egress to the Guam Medical Plaza, and then a little offset again from that is the ingress egress from Oka. It's awkward. It's an awkward situation. Public Works asked us to move our ingress egress across from Achotasi. And what we've asked for relief from is that we not be required to do that, but we are required to work with Public Works to come up with a safer situation. Fact of the matter is, if we had our ingress egress across from Achotasi, there's no line of sight for drivers coming down, okay? Because you picture right there at the hill peaks, right there, it peaks right there, and it's not enough line of sight for cars coming down, cars going out, guaranteed it's gonna be a problem. So we just want to work with Public Works to try to come up with a better system. So that was one of the issues. We're asking for actually. And then lastly is that where you go in and out now, right now we only have one lane in and one lane out. We want to widen that to be going out. There's a lane for left turns, and there's a lane for right turns, and there's one lane coming in. A lot of the public say, I hate waiting 4 or 5 back in that line to turn right, which I could do if I was up there, and then waiting for the people to turn left, right? So that they're just, so these are the things that we responded to the public. That about wraps it up.
Thank you very much. That's very informative. Let me turn it over to my colleagues in the commission to see if you have any questions. Yes, Commissioner Morris.
Are you able to put a road behind the in between the tenants court and the 2 buildings that wrap around? Just because that driveway is really crowded.
Yeah, I think our property is too close back there. Let's go back to something. Let's see. Yeah, see that the red line is our property though. There, yeah, the existing back strip is too close to the back. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But it's gonna fit. The whole thing's gonna fit pretty well. And I like the fact that we were able to just keep everything. First of all, I like the fact that it's just 1 story, right? Anyway, 2 stories of commercial is really difficult to rent. But the fact of the matter, from a land use planning point of view, 1 story is much better for us because we can control the access, we control where the front doors are, control people walk, and we control the deliveries. I'm pretty happy with the way we ended up with the solution we came up with.
Thank you. Vice Chairman Chen, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, so limited commercial, who are your targeted commercial tenants?
Kind of like what we have there now. Then we have Simply Food, and we have some real estate agents, and we have a couple of knick-knack stores and offices like that. We got an attorney or 2 in there, like that. That's what I think it is. Why? Because it's easy for clients to walk in and walk out. Right? Don't have elevators, don't have stairs. There's plenty of parking, and frankly, what happens is we have a lot of what we call these multiple visits with one park, right? You go to Oka Pacific, but you also walk over and get an ice cream cone or something from that ice cream store back. That's what we expect, you know. And really, looking at the record, I did not know this, but it's had a 90+ occupancy all these years. I think that's remarkable. I did put together a business plan, and you know, like what's your threats, you know, what's your opportunities, weaknesses, and this and that. And it is a neighborhood complex. That's really what it is. The people who go there, the customers, they live generally in the area. Now, what would be the threats? Well, across the street, there's a huge vacant property. And that used to be an outdoor movie theater there for a while. There was a lot of religious assemblies there in the old days. that could become another costulus or something, right? So there is a threat from that, for instance, as to the viability of growing Oka Pacific Plaza, as you suggest. Secondly, nobody knows what the influence is going to be of the massive Don complex. That's huge, right? And it's going to have its own grocery store, multiple retail stores, lots of tenant spaces. Who knows if the spirit influence of Don Donkey at the corner of Airport Road and Airport Drive is going to spread into the Johnstown area, grab a little bit of that traffic, right? I think it probably will. Eventually, Don Donkey's here. The floor space of Don Donkey is more than Kmart and Home Depot combined. We have never had a project like that. So those are just some of the threats to, is this a good decision? Well, sometimes it's a roll of the dice. The owner says, no, it's time. That's why we're here.
Thank you. Okay, so no, there be no other questions. We'll go ahead and move forward with any public comment. Any members of the public here for comment? I don't see any, so I'll go ahead and close public comment, and we'll now entertain a motion on the application before us.
Motion to approve application number 2021-11. Based on the recommendations set in the staff report dated October 18, 2022.
Okay. Thank you very much. A motion has been made to approve application number 2021-11. Do I hear a second?
Second that motion.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Chan. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor of approving application number 2021-11, subject to conditions, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. It looks like the ayes have it. The application is approved.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Oh, of course. The next item on the agenda is item B, application number 2022-02. The applicants Conrado B. and Catherine D. Allegria, represented by Daniel B. Swavely, is requesting for a zone change from A rural to R1 single family dwelling zone for the proposed project legacy subdivision on lot 13 T10416 in the municipality of Jigo. The case planner for this is Sunny Gogley. I will now turn it over to Ms. Gogley to present the application.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be reading the staff report dated October 20th, 2022 for application number 2022-02. The applicant, Conrado and Catherine Allegria, represented by Daniel B. Swavely, are requesting approval of the zone change from A agricultural rural zone to R1 single family dwelling zone for the proposed development of a single family dwelling subdivision on lot 13, tract 10416 in the municipality of Jigo. The subject lot is located along Chalalumina Road and in between Paris Acres and Goring Villa Estate. The lot area is 27,197.5 square meters or 6.75 acres and is presently zoned A agricultural zone. The site is presently undeveloped and overgrown with vegetation. Under the North and Central Land Use Plan, the area was designated as very low density residential. Under the Comprehensive Development Plan, the area was designated as urban residential low density, and there was no previous commission action. The application was first accepted on February 7, 2022, presented to the Application Review Committee on March 3, 2022, and a public hearing was held at the Jigo Senior Center on July 13, 2022. Onto our discussion and staff analysis. The applicants requested for a zone change approval and pursuant to section 61630, chapter 61, title 21, where it states the commission may with approval of the governor change the zone established under this chapter whenever it finds that the public necessity, convenience, and general welfare justifies such action. The applicant, in response for the zone change, submits the following justification. In regards to public necessity, it's served by this rezoning because single family housing continues to be in demand on Guam. And based on both private analysis as well as the Guam housing study, the market for single family housing for all income levels is projected to through at least the year 2040. Public convenience is achieved via adjacent access by Chavez Laguna, which connects directly to both Route 1 and Route 16. The proposed rezoning will promote general welfare by providing a well-constructed housing that is served by all infrastructure and easily accessible by public safety vehicles and equipment. Additionally, school, parks, and commercial activities are nearby. Based on our analysis, the Bureau of Statistics and Plans has concerns, as noted in their position statement, citing land use incompatibility and that the requested zone change does not meet the provisions of the zoning law. In addition to the application, the applicant has submitted a supplemental application dated October 18, 2022, which contains responses to the Bureau's concerns and the submission of their final biological assessment report. The applicant provides that the proposed zone change for the subdivision will meet the requirement of connecting to Guam Water Works Authority's wastewater system, ensuring the protection of the northern aquifer. In regards to public necessity, convenience, and general welfare, the applicant contends that adding to the housing stock accessibility to convenient access public roadway and the availability of housing satisfies the provisions of the zoning law. Furthermore, considering that the context of the application provides justification on public necessity, convenience, and general welfare, support a positive action on the zone change request, and with the exception of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, that the zone change request received no objection position statement from the application review committee members, as well as the GHLUC Municipal Planning Council meeting held on September 20th, 2022, and September 30th, 2022. Resolution number 2022-01 is in support of the zone change and was adopted by the GHLUC Municipal Planning Council. We find the above in the context of the application provides justification that public necessity, convenience, and general welfare support a positive action on the zone change request. And lastly, our recommendation, planning staff recommends approval subject to the application review committee for permitting agency position statements. Included in the staff report is the ARC position statement summary, minutes from the public hearing, and a copy of the GHLUC Municipal Planning Council resolution. This concludes my section.
Thank you very much, Kate. I'm going to go to I now open it up to my colleagues in the commission to see if you have any questions. Staff. No questions. Thank you very much. I now turn it over to the applicant or the applicant's representative in the room. If you have a presentation, please introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm still Dan Swavely and I'm representing Conrad and Kathy Allegria, in this case, the owners of the property. I completely agree with the position statement. The responses that we got from 3 kind of intense public hearings in GHLUC about this, and with the conclusions and the recommendations. I can make a presentation if you want, or I can go directly to your questions, so as the commission may prefer.
Pleasure of the commissioners. Okay, please proceed with the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is really a good project, another really good project. The area of Laguna, Chalon Laguna, which is the road between GHLUC McDonald's, right, and Route 15. It's the road on which Harris Acres is, that's the most prominent, long-standing subdivision, and Goring Villa is there as well. So the top near one is the GHLUC McDonald's, and there's the road, goes straight down past Goring Villa there, and there's Route 15. And so this property is the red one, red triangle. It borders Route 15. It is owned by Conrad and Kathy Allegria, who live in Jigo and raise their family in nearby Pacific Latin Estates in Jigo. The goal is to build a modern single-family subdivision on that tract, and they want to name it Legacy Subdivision. Yeah. The area is about 6 3/4 acres, 28 lots, 7,000 square foot each, pretty spacious for single family lots, and complete improvements, paved roads, streets, sidewalks, water, sewer, underground power, stormwater, and a neighborhood park. Now, bear in mind that, let me see, let's go straight to the site plan. Yeah, there we go. So there are your, on the left, going from top to bottom is Chatham Laguna, single ingress egress right there. There will be a guard station there, not a gated community, but a guard station. There will be a school bus shelter on the subdivision's property built there. And then in the middle, there will be 2 parks. One kind of developed with a building, et cetera, the rest open space, maybe to be developed in the future by the homeowners association. Yeah. So here's the plan. 28 pretty big lots. 14 lots will have 2-story houses, 2,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. The other 14 lots will have 3,000 square foot houses with 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. That is the plan at this time. Now, remember, this is a rezone. We're only asking to take that agricultural zone, 6 3/4 acres, and make it into a R1 zone. There are many other residential areas. Maybe we can go to this. Yeah. So there we have, again, the red triangle is us. The green is undeveloped, and all blues are residential development. This shows that the area is about half residential and about half undeveloped, and that's pretty much Jigo in general. Has that land use space. So pretty much fits into what the rest of Jigo is about. We would like to get approval for this rezoning to R1 so that we can come back in a few months after tonight with a new application for a tentative subdivision plan, right? And you know the process, how that works, right? We will at that time present engineering plans somewhere in the 30% progress range of construction, showing the dimensions for the roads and utilities, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, after the ARC, we have to take that through the municipal public hearing and then 2 more MPC public hearings. But throughout all this, we're talking about the same project. This is just, it's just Guam zoning law requires it to do sequentially. Like this. We got to get this one done first. And then I hope to be back sitting at this table in 6 or 8 or 9 months talking about the same project and asking for tentative subdivision. Right? And then after that, of course, we have to do final subdivision. Now, we don't go through the public hearings for that, but we have a lot of requirements that we have to go through. We have to construct the infrastructure, or we have to post a bond in the amount of 115% what DPW says it will cost to do that infrastructure. Then we come back to you again for the final infrastructure. Then we can start building the houses. So between tonight and whenever you want to go out there, you want to take a tour of one of the houses, we're looking at least mid-2025 before we can start building. That is just the timeline of things right now. And I have factored in the difficulty of getting contractors engaged to do this work in that timeline. So that's where it is. We had good response from the Jigo public, not silent, but good response. We had good response from the MPC. And Jigo, it's an intense MPC, and for the mayor, and we're really happy to be before you today and get this process started.
Thank you very much, Mr. Swavely. Any further questions? I do have a question.
Please.
It sounds like a wonderful proposal when you think about just the size of the proposed homes. My question is, would these qualify as affordable housing?
Not like it,
Not likely.
not like it.
And so are we looking at what is the possible price range for these types of homes?
It's really a tough question to answer 3 years ahead, because I mean, Cisco had a kind of like a power breakfast meeting a couple of months ago, right? Maybe you were there, right? And what was she saying? That now the average home is $375,000. 10 years ago, it was $220,000. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. I have recognized that you asked this question, right? Because we want affordable housing to be more on the table. We don't hardly get any affordable housing. I don't have a single client who's saying in those terms. However, we could all do a lot. We could do our part. Let's just talk about land use plan. We could do our part to help affordable housing. We could. And discuss this with Celine and Frank and Sunny. There are things we can do. We can make this an easier process. For instance, here I am with this great project, and I'm spending 12 months to get it rezoned, and another 12 months to get a tentative subdivision approval, and another 12 months to get. We could do something. For instance, we could say, hey, we can combine. We can't do it now. I know that. The law could say we can combine rezoning and, for instance, residential development in one application. Bang, bang, bang. Confirm. We could review lot sizes. I was chairman of a task force under Joe Ada and Frank Laws, Affordable Housing Task Force. We came up with a bunch of ideas. Andy LeBlanc was my right-hand guy for that. God rest his soul. And we came up with a bunch of ideas, not ideas, things we could do in the land use plans to make housing cheaper. And I encourage anyone to start that initiative, and I'll be the first to volunteer my time and background in helping. That's not the whole answer, of course. We have this crazy supply chain problem. We have this crazy cost of materials and cost of construction. We used to build commercial space at $175. We used to build houses at $125, commercial maybe $175, certainly under $200, right? Something like that, right? It's a matter of record. I just finished the Jack in the Box project. $1,000 a square. Amber. See? We can do some things. We can't do everything. We're never going to get around the fact that we still are slave to the Jones Act, you know, and the kind of shipping that we have to come in here. And of course, we have all these onerous US EPA requirements for plumbing and power, storm drainage, wastewater lines, and things like that. We could do a lot. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite subjects too.
Topic here, but thank you very much. We'll now proceed with, if there are any other questions, we'll now proceed with public comment. And I guess we don't have any members of the public here, so.
Excuse me, may I introduce one member of the public?
Oh.
Conrad Levy.
Oh. Welcome, Mr. Legray. Thank you very much. Okay, we close public comment, and now I will go ahead and give it back to the commission. And I will entertain action on application number 2022-02. The applicants Conrado V. and Catherine V. Alegria, represented by Daniel Swavely, is requesting for a zone change from A rural to R1 single family dwelling zone for the proposed project legacy subdivision on lot 13T10416 in the municipality of Chico. The case planner Sunny. So, do I hear a motion to
I'd
approve?
like to make a motion to approve application number 2022-02. Based on the recommendations given in October 2022.
Thank you very much. A motion is on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairman Chad. Any further discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor of approving application number 2022-02, subject to conditions, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. The application is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Pleasure working.
Thank you. So we move on and let me jump ahead. We will now move on to administrative and miscellaneous matters. Executive Secretary Borja, are there any additional administrative or miscellaneous matters for the commission?
Planner groups. So the order of business that we follow is based on the Guam Commission adopted rules for the commission. And if we can compare something for the commission's review by the next meeting, which we change the order so that the applicant does their presentation first. I feel like we've been stealing the thunder, we present everything about the application that we know. And then, so if you have them do their presentation, and then we provide a staff report with recommendations, and we'll do our best to summarize after we hear the applicant's presentation, and then move on to the public comment. So we can change the order so that it would be the applicant's representative to do their presentation, and staff report, and then public comment.
I have no objection to this. There seems to be no objection to this as well for the full commission, so we'll go ahead and make sure that that's how it appears on the agenda. Okay, yes. Thank you very much. Any other matters before the commission? Entertain?
Madam Chair, other than welcome home.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, thank you to our executive secretary, Borja, our legal counsel, chief planner, Cruz, and your team, and for the rest of the staff, Christina. Thank you for all your hard work and making this very organized and successful meeting. And thank you to my fellow commissioners for being here and making sure that we have the quorum to proceed with the action items. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much, Commissioner Flores. Do I hear a second? Okay, thank you very much, Vice Chairman Chen. All in favor of adjourning today's meeting, please signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Today's Guam Land Use Commission meeting is now adjourned. It is 3:44 on my clock. Thank you very much. This concludes our meeting. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Yes, you may. Then